the election manifesto and their working mechanism. Then too, on behalf of a candidate and his or her reputation, they can select the representative, and then they can hold that person accountable. Why? Because this is democracy. So once elected, you are answerable for your decisions, you are answerable for the choices that you make in politics. Now, another important question: reservation of constituencies. I told you that the Delimitation Commission assists the Election Commission of India in the decision of representation of the SC communities, ST communities, women candidates or minority communities. Now, understanding another trend, that is reservation of constituencies. The constituency for the Speaker of the Lok Sabha is always reserved and without any challenge. This is a tradition in our country. This tradition has been copied from UK or Britain. So there also the constituency of the Speaker is always unchallenged. There is no other candidate from that particular area to pose a threat or to pose a challenge in front of the Speaker. So this is the way of rendering respect. Now, what are separate electorates? During the British government, for electing a representative from a particular community or only for limited voters who were eligible and who would belong to that particular community, were known as separate electorates. Now there is one more criteria: reserved constituencies. Now what is the meaning of this? This means voters in a constituency are eligible to vote, but the candidates must belong to a particular community. For example, in a particular area or a city, say the Muslim community is minority and the other communities are holding a better number of population. So what will happen? The reserved constituency will imply that at least one or two candidates from the Muslim community should also contest the elections. So it might variate from minorities, it might variate for the SC and ST communities. Now, certain features of Indian election system. As you all know, the Indian Election Commission is an autonomous body. It is free from the control of the legislature, executive as well as judiciary. The other important features are: the Indian election system is a free and fair system of conduction of elections. Why? Because if we want to maintain democracy, we have to follow the basic concepts and look in the reality, or need to check the ground reality of the situation of the country. Moreover, the election system is impartial and transparent. How? Because there is a fair chance of a particular political party to win as well as to lose during the elections. Another important feature of Indian election system is universal adult franchise. Children, as I had told you in the previous classes, when Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru had decided to adopt the system of universal adult franchise, he was being criticized throughout, and the world wide countries, they were rather waiting for this system to totally fail. But to our good fortune and a good decision taken by him, that once a person, whosoever, whether literate, illiterate, whether rich, whether poor, whether from any community or any caste, once he or she has attained 21 years of age at that time when India got independence, and presently the eligibility age is of 18 years. So what will happen? Once attained this particular age, the Indian Constitution guarantees the political right to every person, and that is the right to cast their vote. So this is the system of universal adult franchise. You have already read in class 9th and 10th that many countries in Europe, even in America, the women had to fight for their right to cast vote. But nothing such happened in India. In India, the leaders were wise enough to adopt this system in the very beginning of the independent era only. Now, another important feature, right to contest. Any person who has attained the age of 25 years is eligible to contest elections for the Lok Sabha. Any person who has attained the age of 35 years is eligible to contest the elections for the Rajya Sabha. So, once the age criteria is fulfilled, the person should not hold any office of profit. Moreover, the person should be having sound physical and mental condition. Other than this, there is no other requirement. A nominal fee is charged by the Election Commission, that is known as the fee for filling the form, and once filled the form, the person is eligible to contest the elections. There is no such hard and fast rule that a person should have certain criteria or certain property or certain assets to contest in the election. So elections are open for all in our country. Now, is our electoral system a foolproof good system? The answer is no. Every coin has two faces. Definitely there are many good things, but still there is a lot of room for improvement in our electoral system. That is why there are suggestions for electoral reforms. What are these suggestions? There should be stricter provisions to control the role of money in electoral politics. See children, there is a criteria or guideline given by the Election Commission during all the elections, during the conduction of elections, that a particular party in a particular area can spend a nominal amount according to the population of that particular constituency. But still we find that pros and cons are adopted during elections, and the political parties are spending way too ahead from the limited criteria. So until and unless we do not decrease the role of money in this politics, we cannot ensure that corruption would end. So money needs to be separated from politics. It should be the choice of the people that should be more influential, rather than the role of money who would compel the people to cast their vote. You would have heard in many areas that during elections liquor is being distributed, or saris are being distributed, or ration is being distributed. So this is not a good system. Though there are rules, but looking into the following of these rules is really important. Another thing, there should be complete ban on caste or religious appeals. You all know what the reality is. The Indian elections are plagued by the caste system. They are plagued by the religious appeals in the election campaign. Till date also, no matter whatever the literacy level is, but still people want to support the candidate from their caste or from their religion. So this practice needs to be abolished. Next, there should be a law to regulate the functioning of the political parties. Now, from where the political parties are earning, how many members are there, how these members are working, from where they are generating their funds, how they are spending their funds, we have no account of these things. So we can say there is a lack of transparent policies by these political parties. For example, in certain political parties, you would have observed that there is a monopoly of the family. So this is also a lacuna. Another thing, there should be a special provision to ensure that at least 1/3 women are elected to the parliament and assemblies. This bill has been kept on pending for a very long span. Until date also, the provision for reservation for women candidates up till 33% is not fulfilled. Even in present date, we do not find 33% membership by the women candidates. So the times are changing, education is increasing, technology is advancing day by day. We are a better society, but still impurities are there when it comes to the question of membership of women candidates or their role in politics. Last but not the least, candidates with criminal case should be barred from contesting elections. A very good question was put up by one of my students. They said that once a person is being arrested, he or she cannot cast the vote during the elections. Then why is it so that if the political leader is under arrest, then too from the jail or from the premises of these facilities they can contest for the elections? Definitely it is a big question, and if any such case is pending against the candidate, it should be looked by the government on a serious note that such candidates should be avoided from contesting elections. In many examples we have seen that certain criminal cases, certain rape cases, certain extortion cases are pending against a person, and that person is holding a political position. So these things need to be checked by our system. Then only we can have a better electoral system. Now, these are certain pictures here. You know what the electoral roll is. That is known as the election list. Here the names of the candidates from the particular area or ward is being mentioned along with the picture and the details. So one copy is there on the booth, and the other part, a small ticket is being given to the people, and when they come to cast their vote on that particular day, they give away that chit and show their voter IDs. You are well aware how the voter IDs look like. The second picture here is of the voter IDs. Then campaigning. So these campaignings might have road shows, these might have rallies, these might have speeches, and whatsoever the other means the political parties want to take up. The fourth picture, that is showing a picture of the election booth, and here you can see that the lady is casting her vote. A covered area is being prepared where she can press the button of the EVM machine and nobody gets to see what the choices she is going for. Then another criteria is a particular ink is put on the index finger of the voters so that they can the officials can find out that who has already casted their vote, or to avoid discrepancy or to avoid any sort of malpractice during the elections. Earlier this was a system that many people used to cast their vote and then they used to come once again for casting the vote on behalf of some other person. So it was very difficult to find out. So the election commission